pipe down.
It's been very difficult to keep it a surprise for Mom and Dad, but we were so afraid they'd find out we didn't tell them anything. We didn't tell them a date or anything until we sent out the invitations. Then we thought, uh-oh, we better make sure they're going to be home and they'll be around on November the 11th. By the time we got around to telling them the date, Dad had made plane reservations and hotel reservations for Palm Beach, Florida. Everything was set. He got a Super Saver tickets and everything, and we were fit to be tied. I want Mom and Dad to see our phone bills next week when this is all over, because we made frantic phone calls, Ruthie and I and Dave, to each other, and finally we had to talk them into not going to Palm Beach for their anniversary. And why? Because we had a little wedding ceremony planned at the church, is what we told them. And that didn't sound real great to them. They were disappointed, so it was very difficult for us. They were disappointed. So we kept saying, oh, you have to cancel those tickets, which they finally did, and Dad actually got his money back. So everything, I think, has worked out fine. And I don't think they're disappointed when they see friends and relatives here tonight. We thank all of you for coming. We appreciate. Some of them have come from a long way. People are here from California, Florida, all over the United States. Their dad's brother and sister are here who have not seen each other for 27 years. So this is quite a family reunion tonight, as well as friends. We appreciate you being here for Mom and Dad. As we start the program, we wanted to introduce the kids to you, the ones in the play tonight. Scott Barnett, that's Ruthie's son. Allison Barnett, Ruthie's daughter. And Ryan Barnett, Ruthie's son. My 4 kids, Amy Black, Summer Black, Renee Black, and Tiffany Black, down here. Tom's 2 daughters, Amber Crago is over here with Grandma, and Ashley Crago. And we have David's 2 kids, Darian, the baby, is over here, and Andrew Crago. Is that everybody? Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Oh, before we begin, I'm sorry, we are going to have the 2 brothers, Dad's 2 brothers, say a few words to you. I think they have some things they would like to say to you. We'll start with Uncle Bill, my Uncle Bill, Bill Crago.
Great turnout. You know, Glenn and I have practiced together for 39 years. And you see a lot of changes in that time. I can remember years ago when our older brother Chuck was going to Canada fishing, and Glenn said, God, anybody that would go and sit in a boat all day and fish would have to be nuts. And then he became an avid fisherman and went to Canada usually once or twice a year for years. Then the next thing I can remember is that somebody got an automobile with air conditioning. And said, oh my God, I mean, why would anybody want air conditioning in a car? Next thing you know, he gets a car with air conditioning. I think he said at that time that's the only one they had and he had to take it. But then I heard him say one time the reason he bought it because Ruth complained that the windows open blew her hairdo. So. And then it went on, and then the next thing is, he was talking about, let me see, I know. He was talking about front-wheel drive cars. And I had one, and he said, boy, oh boy, he said, I just would never be able to drive a front-wheel car. And I managed to pawn the car off onto him, and boy, all of a sudden he's talking about what a fantastic thing the front-wheel drive car is, and now he has a front-wheel drive car. And now he also, the greatest thing though, is air conditioning in the house. Absolutely, you could not have air conditioning in a house. You had to have the windows open. Lo and behold, this last year, is that right, Ruth? Got air conditioning. Now he's got a microwave oven, he's got a VCR. And now he goes to the Y every day and swims. Now, there's only one thing that hasn't happened, and we're waiting for it is, and that is for him to take up golf and tennis. Okay, that's all I can.
Do you want a rebuttal on that at all?
Now Uncle Verle from Valdosta, Georgia has a couple of things to say.
Well, my wife's over there shivering because whenever I get up, she starts getting down low. I teach Sunday school, and boy, she sits back there and just look at her. I got a lot of stories, but there's probably some of them that are not appropriate for this. But I thought about one when they were all talking and Billy was going on and on. I'm not going to do that, but I thought about this preacher in South Georgia that had this little church. And he primed himself and had a good sermon up for Sunday night, but it came up a bad storm. And he went in there and got up in front of the church. There was one man in the back of the church. There was one single fellow. And boy, that preacher preached a sermon. He preached on and on and on and on and on. When he got through, he met the man at the door and he told the man, he said, "How'd you like my sermon?" The man said, "Well, it was all right, preacher," but he said, "You know, I raise cattle. I got about 150 head of cattle. And when I take a load of feed back to them, you know, I don't give that one cow the whole load."
I guess this is it. This is the time. I'm going to make one statement now before we get started. Number one, I did not write this. Number two, we have not practiced it. So that out of the way. We're going to take you through 40, 50 some years of kind of decade work and hit on some highlights. And we're going to do it in kind of a slight humorous way in regards to it being a radio broadcast. So with that in mind, we'll kind of get started. Everybody? Right. This is radio station WLUB, and I'm Verle Crago, here to bring you a special show entitled Memories. November 23rd, 1989 makes a special day for our entire nation. It's the 50th wedding anniversary of our two most famous prominent citizens, Ruth Fisher, Glenn Crago. In her honor, we are here conducting this special radio broadcast, which will take us into a peek into the past. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be looking at the past 5 decades of Ruth and Glenn's marriage and trying to figure out one thing. How in the world have they been so successful over these possible years? Let's begin now with Ruth and Glenn met. Ruth moved to Bainbridge from Manaway. She was a star basketball player in high school. Glenn had his eye on her and kept on teasing her and trying to get her attention. Ruth had an M on her jacket of Manaway High School, and Glenn just cut that darn thing right off. Didn't even know. Then he stole her class ring and wouldn't give it back until she went out with him. That's how they started. And now we will begin our special little broadcast by taking a small little stroll to the past 5 decades. First, a glimpse into the 1940s with Amy Black.
November 23rd, 1945. Fads of this decade are zoot suits, rag hair curlers, rolled up blue jeans, and ladies' hats with giant flowers. This was the beginning of the Dinah Shore Show, see the USA in the Chevrolet. Presidents of the decade are Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman. The movie of the decade is Gone with the Wind. This is the beginning of Grandpa and Grandma's marriage. Grandma worked as a nanny for a family in Upper Arlington, while Grandpa went to Ohio State Veterinary School. Grandpa had a Model A car with no floorboards and no heater. 4 children were born to Grandma and Grandpa during this decade: Ruthie, Tom, Judy, and Ginny. Grandpa's brother Merle has some fond memories of the 40s. He tells this story. The most comical event I remember about Ruth Crago occurred at Grandma and Grandpa's house. This was sometime before their marriage. I always had the bad habit of undressing in stages, starting when I hit the back door. On a particular Saturday night, I was late coming in, and my shoes hit the floor in the kitchen, my shirt in the living room, and my pants were thrown on the bed in the back room. Everything was okay until Sunday. Neither Ruth nor anyone else could explain why my pants were in bed with her. And Frank Metzger said this: I have fond memories of the days on Market Street when Chuck and Glenn would get a project started and call us to help. It didn't pay to fasten anything too securely because we knew that in a couple weeks we would be doing it all over again. We've done some research on economics in the 40s, and here are our conclusions. The cost of a loaf of bread is 8 cents. The cost of a new Ford car is $600. And the cost of a 3-bedroom home is $3,500.
Rock into the 50s with Ryan Barnett. Thank you, lady.
November 23rd, 1955. The fads of the 50s are hula hoops, silly putty, 3D movies, ponytails, and a game called How Many Kids Can You Cram Into a Telephone Booth? Well, the record for that feat was 22 people. On TV, we see The Lone Ranger, I Love Lucy, and Milton Berle. The presidents of this decade are Harry Truman and Dwight Eisenhower, known as Ike. And the movie of this decade is West Side Story. Grandpa and Grandma built their new home on Lakeshore Drive, and Grandpa enjoys tooling around in his convertible Porsche and Corvette. Somehow Grandpa manages to stuff his wife and 3 children all in this tiny Corvette. I guess he always loved a challenge. Another special moment in this decade was the birth of their final son, David. And some memories from this decade. Wanda Blucher from The Office remembered the Crago family practical joke of the Christmas of 1956, when their gift to their aunt of a good dress form appeared from its carton, a cheap gray pasteboard one. And Tobe and Zeke Griffith remembered one of the funniest pranks Dr. Glenn played involved replacing the contents of a deodorant cream with a very strong cheese. And a certain lady wore it to work. And also, when Dr. Glenn was treating an English bulldog with Carl's assistance in the runway, somehow the English bulldog got free and chased Dr. Glenn up a ladder, and Charles had to jump in a bathtub. I heard Dr. Glenn shouting out the surgery window, and he was yelling at me, "Z, get that god blank broom in here." Now, research shows from the 50s, the cost of a loaf of bread was 20 cents, and the cost of a new car is $2,000, and a new 3-bedroom home is $10,000. And that was the 50s.
Okay, we're moving right along, huh? 1960, let's bring on Allison Barnett.
God, I wish I lived back then. The date today is November 23rd, 1965. Fads of the decade are long hair, wild psychedelic colors, the hippie culture, flower children, and the Beatles. We have Woodstock, the first walk on the moon, Vietnam War protests, and laughing on TV. Presidents of the decade are John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, and Richard Nixon. The movies of the decade are Dr. No with James Bond and Mary Poppins. Grandma and Grandpa became grandparents for the first time. Scott and I were born during this decade. Grandpa is president of the American Animal Hospital Association and is traveling all over the country. Some of the cars that they have are a VW convertible that Ruthie learned to drive on, a red Volvo, a white Chevy Impala, and a Ford Galaxy 500 that had its roof smashed in by a falling tree in Mill Creek Park. Uncle David Crago remembers the 60s well, as he says, it was usually Mom who dished out the actual discipline around the house, and that meant the dreaded wooden spoon. Well, it didn't take me long to figure out that hiding one spoon soon brought another from our inventory. The tradition of the wooden spoon continues, just to ask my son Andrew. Happy 50th, I've loved you all 32 years, your son Dave. Our marketing research project continues as we discover that a loaf of bread costs 40 cents, a new car costs $4,500, and a new 3-bedroom home costs $30,000.
It's time to rock and dance into the 1970s. Scott Barnett, just going all the way down across the
Let's have a big hand for the Crago dancers now. Okay, the 70s. Date today is November 23rd, 1975. Fads of the decade are gold chains, open collars, and hairy chests. Hairy chests for the guys. Women's are for the guys. We also see, remember those polyester suits, bell-bottom jeans, Saturday Night Fever. I tell you, I think we
would rather forget this decade. Presidents of the decade: Richard Nixon, Jerry Ford, and the peanut farmer, Jimmy Carter. Let's see, popular movies: Kramer versus Kramer and Jaws. We have some more grandchildren coming along this decade. We get Ryan, Amy and Summer, and Amber. And in the 70s, we see Grandpa's Oldsmobile craze. We got 6 of them in a row. Still driving one today, as a matter of fact. Let's see, Sandy and Bill Kopich kind of tickled my memory here a few seconds ago, and I'm going to tell you a real quick story about the wild bobcat call. I don't know if many of you have had a chance to enjoy this experience, but I was first introduced to it in Canada on a fishing trip. And I think I was about 12 years old, and Grandpa produced this strange instrument. It looked a lot like a French horn. And if you know what a French horn is, the opening's about face level. So, I think you might know where this is going. He took it and he said, "Come on, Scott, we're going out in the woods. We're going to round up some bobcats." "Okay, Grandpa," he said, "just make sure you blow it real hard." So I did. Blew that thing and was covered head to toe in white flowers. What an experience. Let's see. Our researchers have come up with some more fascinating figures for you. We get the cost of a loaf of bread at 55 cents. We get a new car at $7,000. And a 3-bedroom home is now $63,000.
I want to tell you how smart some of these guys are. These are college guys there, you know. This bobcat call, you know, and it comes up around like this, just around like this. Okay, so my son Dave, my son Tom, Bill Govich, a couple of his boys, all of these guys said, just leave the thing lay around. That's what we used to do. We just leave it lay around. We wouldn't say nothing about it. We have it pretty well loaded, you know. And all of these guys pick it up, Lord, they say, "Oh my God, you'll get off." We had a kennel, man. I won't mention much other way about that. But he wasn't too bright now. He had an IQ of, I think, about -10. And so we said to him, I brought it in there and I laid it. He didn't pick it up for 3-4 days. I wondered what the hell was wrong with this. And so finally one day I said, "Leroy, why don't you pick that damn thing up and blow it?" He said, "Hell, Doc, I ain't gonna blow that, blow right back in my face."
Another true story we all are ashamed of right now. But the biggest victim of that little thing was Gregory Black. So you may want to ask him about that after. You may want to ask him. Is it becoming clear that we haven't practiced this a lot? Anyway, moving on. Let's check out the 1980s with Summer Black.
Fads of this decade are punk rock concerts, and a return to ripped up jeans and tie-dye shirts. We have USA for Africa, Hands Across America, Oprah Winfrey, Geraldo, and Bill Cosby. Presidents of this decade are Ronald Reagan and George Bush. The biggest movies are E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark with Indiana Jones. Even more grandchildren were born now. Renee, Ashley, Tiffany, Andrew, and little Darian, making it a grand total of 11 grandchildren so far. The new Crago Veterinary Clinic is now built, running full steam ahead. This is the time for Grandma and Grandpa to travel the world: Alaska, Spain, England, and France. Hopefully, Australia will be their next destination. Gail Moreland from the clinic has a story to tell about Grandpa. Ask Dr. Glenn about the time he had a TV set of his sent to the clinic. He got a dose of his own medicine. We unpacked the TV and filled the box with dog food. I know he took the box home, and a few days later he came to the clinic looking for his TV. I'm not sure when he first discovered the dog food. Our research team has uncovered some startling facts for the decade. A loaf of bread now costs 85 cents. A new car now costs $12,000. A new 3-bedroom home now costs a whopping $90,000. How times have changed.
this stroll through the past 5 decades. We have had a lot of fun putting this together. We hope you have all enjoyed it and have stirred up some memories in your own mind of your own lives and as your lives have touched Mom and Dad's. We want to leave you with this poem dedicated to Mom and Dad. When memory clings to precious things like vows exchanged and wedding rings, though time goes by, as time will do, love just grows deeper and sweeter too. One last little ending. Hey, everybody in the line.
Please don't think you have to leave right now. Don't have to stick around. Please stick around, mingle, drink, eat more, whatever you want to do. You can dance on a little bit.